It's 2 out of 2 hits for director S. Craig Zahler, whose debut picture Bone Tomahawk was an exhilarating and quite frankly terrifying experience. His follow-up, Brawl in Cell Block 99, follows a former boxer turned drug runner who gets sent to prison after a deal goes wrong. As well as being an interesting look at the penitentiary procedure, Brawl's story does develop when the protagonist gets sent to jail. And the whole thing, which starts off as pretty straightforward, ends up in a hellish nightmare, not unlike Bone Tomahawk before it. You get the sense of the vintage grindhouse flicks from watching Brawl, or maybe the viral Charles Bronson, Walter Hill pictures of the 70s. Like those films, it's simple and straightforward, but gritty and unflinching in its brutal violence. Vince Vaughn gives a prestige performance as a man full of physical power, of silent rage, of an uncompromising drive to do what is necessary in order to achieve his goals, which, in this case, involves the protection and salvation of his loved ones. In an article I wrote many years ago on the decline of action cinema, I mentioned that I felt a key difference between the action movies of the 70s and 80s and more modern superhero movies is that you want to be the superhero, you want to wear the cape and have the cool gadgets discharging from your wrists. With many of the more grounded and fierce 70s and 80s action films, if I might be allowed to generalize for a second, you do not at all want to be in the situation that the main character is in. You don't want to be trapped in a jungle with an alien hunter tracking you as Dutch was in Predator. You don't want to be a weaponless gang chased across town for something you didn't do like the crew and the Warriors. And I found myself thinking, I'm sure glad I'm not in Vaughn's position in the movie. Would I be righteous or selfless enough or brave enough or strong enough or intelligent enough in order to do what was necessary to save my loved ones? Could I go to the lengths the protagonist goes, knowing full well the closer he gets to ensuring the safety of his family, the closer he gets to never stepping out of prison again? I'm just glad it's a question I don't need to answer. Brawl feels light years away from the likes of Tarantino and Rodriguez, who homage and spoof the drive-in grindhouse exploitation films of old. Brawl actually feels like one. It is one. It perfectly interconnects pulpy, over-the-top underground action movies with realistic, dramatic sensibilities. It's the classic formula of a straight-talking, no-nonsense tough guy who's thrust into an intense situation where he must call upon his resourcefulness, his drive, and sheer strength to overcome all obstacles. Brawl in Cell Block 99 is a movie that is brutal, intense, and also scary in how your life can take such a sudden downward spiral and just how rampant corruption is throughout the States. I give this movie a 7.5 out of 10.